Hello and welcome back. So today we're going to talk about Linux. One thing you should know that when a man uses Linux, he makes sure that everybody in this world and your dogs know that he uses Linux. So that's exactly what I'm going to do today. So for some unfortunate circumstances, I had to use Linux. This is literal wizard territory, okay? So for my entire life, like most people, I've been using Windows. First of all, because I'm broke. And second, I don't want to write 1000 lines of code just to install a freaking web browser. But, God had a different plan for me, and now I am being forced politely by my employer to use Linux. So what do? Of course, I have to follow his orders. So what do? The first step is what to install, right? So I just typed on Google Linux distros or different versions of Linux. That's a specialty of Linux, and the first major advantage here is that unlike Windows, it's free, it's open source, and you can just download the ISO and install it in your potato PC like I did. So we have lots of choices here. It's like, which ice cream do you want? A chocolate? No, actually Ubuntu is vanilla, chocolate, and everything in between. Which flavors do you want? I mean, apart from ice cream, there is another thing that has flavors, right? We all know what I'm talking about. But anyways, let's come back to the point. So we have these things, right? We have this stuff here and there. There are lots of different distros here, and you'll be shocked. Each of these distros have their own fan base. Each of these distros are like a superstar or something. And the biggest superstar, the Michael Jackson of all the Linux distros, is Ubuntu, right? And this is where I was confused a bit. Like, I have used Linux, but not on my personal computer in college. But I did not understand anything. I just followed some instructions and remembered some steps by heart, and I just passed the examination. And there they used Ubuntu. I have a bit of a complicated relationship with Ubuntu, and also I read on the internet, on Reddit, the most reliable source of information on the internet, that Ubuntu is a bit slower. It uses something called GNOME or Genome. I don't know, I have no idea what I'm saying, but that was enough for me. And of course, who doesn't believe Reddit user, right? So I believed him or her, and I skipped Ubuntu. So out of all this, I researched most of it, and I came to a conclusion that there are 3 distros for a noob like me, who used Windows all your life and had to use Linux all of a sudden. These 3 are your choices if you're like me. So at first we have Ubuntu, which I ditched. So let me cross it. There we go. No for Ubuntu because it's slow, I guess. I don't know. Everyone hates it. I think it's cool to hate on Ubuntu, so we want to be cool, right? So we hate Ubuntu. So our next choice was Linux Mint. By our, I mean mine. So I installed it. It has a huge fan base. It's like the new cool kid, and everyone wants to be his friend. And it's pretty simple, its pros are, it's simple. Here, Ubuntu's pros were Ubuntu has only cons. It is cool to hate on Ubuntu, right? So the pros of Linux Mint is that it has a simple UI and it just does the job. But when I installed Linux Mint, I was having a great time, and then something bugged me and it changed everything, every feelings that I had for Linux Mint. And what was that? Customization. The customization in Linux Mint is so shitty by default. If you have some other workaround, I don't know about that, but by default Linux Mint, it was pretty shitty. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So this is your screen resolution, right? I'm using a 1080p monitor and global scale. This is something that I need as I have shitty eyes, so I prefer a little bigger font than 100%. It's too small for my shitty eyes, but I don't need the font size to be equal to the size of the earth. It just needs to be a little bit bigger than the default, and 125% is perfect for me. But in Linux Mint, the only options were 100% or 200%. That's it. That's about it. Whether it's too small or else it is just too big. And that caught me off guard. I was like, nope, this is it. I'm gonna uninstall Linux Mint. So Linux Mint was ditched in the process, and these two are never gonna come back in my life, at least not in the near future. And then I found the best OS in the world, Ubuntu. I know it sounds like Ubuntu, but with a K. At first I was like, it's Ubuntu, right? Yes, it is based on Ubuntu. It's a different flavor of Ubuntu. But remember, I said Ubuntu uses GNOME. But Ubuntu uses something called KDE Plasma. And it sounds cool. Everybody likes it. And there was a video on YouTube like why I ditched Ubuntu and switched to Kubuntu. And that's a great video, by the way. And that video pretty much convinced me to get Ubuntu, and I installed it. Great, that's about it for this video actually, but hold on, I have to say some more things about Ubuntu. Actually, I have a lot more to say, but I'll make some other videos, maybe some other day. But for today, I have a few more points about Ubuntu. I installed it, and the first thing about KDE Plasma. KDE Plasma is nothing but the user interface and stuff, the UI, right? But the main thing that convinced me to use Ubuntu is this wallpaper. But for real though, this wallpaper is lit, and I don't know how to explain it, but it's giving me a cozy vibe, and for some reason I remember the good old days of mid-2000s. Last time a wallpaper impressed me was back in the Windows 7 days. It had some great wallpapers. But the main question is this OS perfect? For a noob like me, who used Windows, it's tough. It's very tough. I needed 2 or 3 weeks maybe at this point to get all my stuff installed and ready to go. It took me almost 3 weeks. I had to sacrifice sleep to watch, YouTube videos and stuff, and also ChatGPT helped me a lot to write these commands and stuff. You gotta use the terminal a lot, okay? It's not as bad as it used to be on Linux. It has, all the graphical UI and stuff, but you need to use the terminal, unfortunately, and ChatGPT can be your best friend. I mean, it's my best friend regardless because I have no friends. But anyways, let's talk about software support. As shitty as Windows is, it's extremely easy for a noob. If you just want to use a computer, Windows is still the best in this planet. And I think what Windows enjoys here is that it has a great software support. Linux has some great software support, it has improved a lot. It has its own app store and it's much better than your Microsoft App Store, by the way. And it has many things, even games for free. Like everything that you can find in this store is for free because it's open source, right? Great. One software that I cannot use here is Adobe. If you use Adobe Photoshop or their video editing software, you will have a hard time here. You will have to use something else here. And one thing I almost forgot, it's much smoother than Windows. Windows is laggy as heck. But this operating system, even on your potatoes, like my PC here is a potato, but it runs this operating system quite well. Although I would say use SSD and not HDD because I installed it on HDD first and it's just a mess. It will make you go mad and destroy your computer. So please install it on your SSD and do not store your passwords in this .txt file format. Please do not follow me. I do it because I've been doing it and I'm too old to change my ways. Alright, so that's it, and in the next video, the next Linux video, I'm going to talk about what you should install and stuff. Right, after you install the OS, you should do some stuff. There are some rituals that you should follow and perform. We'll talk about that, and hopefully this video was helpful in some ways. I doubt it, but if you're a pro in Linux, feel free to give me some tips, please. I need some tips. Please help me. Alright, so that's it for this video, and yeah, goodbye.